Hello and welcome to this week's Webcast of 101 Sports. I'm Andrew Vandellis.
And I'm Matt Holzapfel. We have a lot of exciting news to cover, so let's jump right into the three strikes.
Injuries have been piling up around the NBA this season, and several notable players such as DeMarcus Cousins, Kristaps Porzingis, and Gordon Hayward are out for the year with major injuries. Matt, how do these injuries change their respective teams' plans for the rest of the season and into free agency?
Well, first of all, the rest of the season, you're missing, one of your best players, your key pieces, so it sucks because you have to find places to plug and play with next man up, but a lot of teams have embraced next man up trading. That's okay. My biggest problem is when you go into free agency, right, you have to plan for what you need. It's hard to evaluate what you need when you're missing a key part of your offense and your defense, your whole team. The Knicks, now they need a power forward, but when Kristaps is healthy, they won't because he's there, he's in that spot.
At that point, it's just wasted space, but in this moment of time, the injuries are really screwing things up, and it's step up or step out of the way, honestly. The Celtics have been doing a good job in hindsight with how they've handled Gordon Hayward's injury with the emergence of rookies like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum doing well. They've had some hiccups, but at the same time, as you mentioned, once it gets to free agency, what do you do with all this young talent? Where do Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum fit?
The thing for the Celtics was, too, is they had Gordon Hayward for 2 minutes, and then he was gone.
Exactly.
So it wasn't like they were established,
decision.
chemistry, everything. They lost him pretty immediately, whereas Kristaps Porzingis has played a full year, and now he's going into this year where he's doing so well on an otherwise poor Knicks team. Exactly.
When Cousins was starting to get in a role with Davis as well. So it's really just a shame, and we'll have to just kind of see how they do it.
Yeah, injuries piling up, not good for the NBA. After starting just 6 games for the San Francisco 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo signed a record 5-year, $137.5 million contract with the Niners last week. The deal makes Garoppolo the highest paid player in the league, earning $27.5 million a year. Andrew, should the Niners have pulled the trigger in paying Garoppolo, or should they have waited a bit longer?
They're getting every penny that he's worth, I think. I get it that he's only played 7 games, but he's 7 for 7. And I know that's a small sample size, but in Francisco, I think this works. You have a true quarterback who you can build your franchise around. You have a coach like Kyle Shanahan, who's a quarterback-minded coach. And on top of that, it's a high reward where the 49ers can rebuild around Garoppolo because he's such a talent.
I'm extremely conflicted by this because, one, you're right, he's shown what he can do in those 7 games. They need a franchise player because they have no one else, so they have to put their faith in somebody. And I don't have a problem with it being Garoppolo, but 7 games is not a big sample size. You look at everyone else in the top 5 quarterbacks highest paid. Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and Andrew Luck. They all played at least 50 games before they got their big contract. Garoppolo has played 7, and granted he's 7-0, but he hasn't shown as much potential as the other players.
You got to look at the circumstance that the 49ers were in as well. They went quarterback after quarterback after the downfall in quality of play of Kaepernick and Blaine Gabbert as well. So bringing Garoppolo in, especially after seeing what he could do.
Maybe that's the problem is they were so used to failing. As soon as someone did well, they jumped on him and pounced, gave him all their money.
Winning 5 games in a row when you had such a stinker of a season as the 49ers did, Garoppolo being signed to that lucrative of a contract doesn't seem that crazy.
All he did was cost him a high draft pick, honestly, for that season. I will add this. The only other player in those top 5 QBs that's being paid now that started as a backup is the only one that has a Super Bowl ring, Aaron Rodgers. Keep that in mind as we go through the next season.
The Boston Celtics recently retired forward Paul Pierce's number 34 after a historic 15-year career with the team. With so many Hall of Fame players in team history, where does Paul Pierce rank in all-time Celtics?
He's absolutely in the top 5. I have him at 4th behind Bill Russell, Larry Bird, and John Havlicek. I think just what he's done for the Celtics franchise, obviously bringing him that title in 2008, and he's up there in not only just the ranks, you can talk about where he's at Celtics history, but when you think Boston Celtics and recent history, you think Paul Pierce, KG, Rondo, and all those guys.
Exactly. I was going to build off of that. He's easily the best Celtic in the past 20 years, dating back to Larry Bird, I think. I would have put him at number 3, but top 5, no doubt, behind Russell and Larry Bird. But at the same time, Kobe said he was the hardest defender that he ever had to face. So that's really saying something when the Black Mamba is giving you that much credit.
Exactly. He was top 3 in steals in Celtics history, and points, and games played, assists, 3-pointers. So he has all the records. He's up there with the greats. There's no doubt his number should be retired. I know anyone's debating that. I think his legacy will go down as one of the greatest Celtics of all time, as it should, for sure.
He's a true Hall of Famer who really changed the course of the Celtics ship in the past 20 years.
Exactly, especially during how he played in that 2008 playoffs. He played out of his mind, definitely led them to that championship. Coming up, we'll discuss the Round of 16 Champions League. Stay tuned.